What's up, fam? What's up, guys? Here in Taiwan. I usually don't do any live streams from my phone. So right now I'm just messing with this prism, trying to flip around the screen real quick. There we go. Perfect. Hopefully everyone has been well. And feel free if you have any questions at all about your PC builds or anything like that, and I will certainly help you out. I know this is probably more late time than usual for a lot of the. What's up, Kami? Good to see you here live in Taiwan. So if you're wondering why it's daytime on this side, it is daytime on this end at least. It's a bit of a cloudy day at least, but if you have any questions at all for any PC builds, feel free to ask. Hopefully everyone took advantage of those Amazon Prime Day deals. They were really excellent, I gotta say, for the most part. I'm kind of jealous that for anyone that was able to take advantage of some of those deals, especially because if I did end up ordering anything, I would have something. Do you think shipping a fully built PC is safer than shipping the parts? Honestly, in my opinion, I feel it's actually much more safer to ship PC parts compared to a whole build. Now, it can be manageable. You can ship it out. And I have to ask, where are you shipping it out to? Is it somewhere local, like within your country, or is it going to be even outside the country? If it is, I would highly suggest that if you do plan to ship out a fully built PC, make sure to have it pretty much everything stabilized on the inside. You want to get, I have a video based on it. It's not really titled for a shipping a PC build, but I will certainly look up the video and I'll send it. What's up, Veronica? Good to see you. To Canada. Is it from the US to Canada, is it? If it is, then that could be, it could be manageable. It's just what I would highly suggest to do is if you're going to do that, I would say just make sure to have the GPU really stabilized. That's the most important component. And everything inside the PC should be pretty much stabilized. If you do that, then the rest of it should be okay. I would recommend putting a couple boxes at least if you do ship a full PC. Make sure that it's a double corrugated box too, because if you just send it, I would send the PC case box and then another box on top of it, and kind of have it saran wrapped to where if you ship it out, that way it doesn't have to worry about, you don't have to really worry about any real damage, because I've seen UPS, I've seen FedEx do all kinds of damage to PC components, especially if you just send it in its original container. Because to be honest, they don't really care as much about trying to get the package there safely. It's more about just trying to get the package there in the first place. But also, the stream should be not only on YouTube, but it should also be on Twitch as well. So if you feel free to, if you could check either stream. Fortunately, I don't really have my camera to be able to stream this live, because it's not going to be very stable. So it's much better to stream this from a phone at least. But there was a lot of great Prime Day deals. I've seen a lot of people speak about different processors that they wanted to take advantage of. I saw that even the 9950 X3D was a really good deal, I gotta say, for the most part. But there had a lot of NZXT parts were for some great deals. They had motherboards, they had PC cases, they also had everything you could really think of from NZXT. And hopefully they still have some that you can take advantage of, but I know most of the time when a deal does come up, they usually end up ending the deal right away, and then you have to go right back to full prices. But If anyone got anything on Prime Day, feel free to let me know. Let me know what you got, because I'm definitely curious. There was so many great deals that everyone could take advantage of for sure. But yeah, so right now, I'll share how it looks right now. Weather-wise, it is looking a bit gloomy today. And usually here in Taiwan, there's usually a lot of great tech stuff. Right now, I'm just close by the Taipei Sports Arena, which is right here. You might be familiar with them, the Taipei Dragons, or Taiwan's Dragons, the baseball team. This is right by where they play. But they do have a lot of great stores, standalone stores. Like ASUS has its own store, MSI does. And if we can find one, we can certainly go inside and take a look. But of course, it is Taiwan, so it is a bit humid today, especially in July. If you are familiar with how Taiwan's climate is, it can get pretty rainy and wet. It's pretty similar to how Miami is. Just feels a bit more humid in my opinion. From the Philippines, I am planning to build my PC piece by piece. Which part should I buy first? That's a great question. I gotta say, if you're deciding to do a PC build and you want to know what to get first, determine on what your build's going to be based on. I'm assuming, are you doing a build based on like a gaming PC, is it? If it is, I would say if you want to focus on getting the knowing the type of GPU that you want to use first. And that's usually the most expensive purchase. So if you get that out the way, pretty much everything else will come together naturally. So if you decide to say you want to build a PC with a RTX 5070 for gaming and like video, okay. So if that's the case, say if you choose, so more than likely you're probably thinking about an Nvidia card. So you can go with a RTX, say 5070, more than likely. That's like right between margin between, I would say like for gaming and for editing and producing. It's a great card to have, especially you could take advantage of the CUDA cores. So say if you go 5070, that would be probably the best bet to go first, depending on how high your budget is. So let me know how your budget is, and I could certainly help on that side. But just assuming if you have about 5070 money, or if you have, or looking into say like a 5060 Ti, something like that would be a great start to begin with. And then from there, you can pretty much gather the processor that you want to use, the motherboard, and then the rest of it will kind of come together on its own. So it shouldn't be as bad. But that should certainly help you out. Whew. You can see I'm sweating already. But that's what I would highly suggest. Go with the GPU first, and then I would say decide to go with your other components after, because they're going to be the most important parts. Yes, absolutely. Well, the RTX 2070 Super Bottleneck, a i7 4790K. I would more than likely it will. Now, when it comes to the RTX 2070, it will somewhat bottleneck. Now, if you go with a bit of a higher processor, like if you go with something like more about like the i7 7000 or 8000 series, those processors, that would be like a much better chance to go. But with Devil's Canyon, it's a bit of a older processor, and you might face some bottlenecking issues if that's the case. Got all my stuff coming in for my build next week, for my first build. Excited for you. I mean, make sure to send some pictures on Discord. If you guys aren't part of the Discord, make sure you check it out. It's in my channel's page. Definitely check it out and send the pictures. I will share it with you guys. Do you think the RTX 2070 Super will be relevant? Now, this is a hard question I'd say I have to face, because when it comes to GTA 6, it's really hard to determine on what the GPU recommendations are going to be. So more than likely, what I would say is when it comes to the GPU side, for GTA 6, I know a lot of cards for the minimum recommendation when it comes to a lot of these, a lot of PC gaming is always going to be like a RX 580, and it's not a RX 580, but more like a AMD's 580, and the RTX like 1060 or 1070. Those are usually like the minimum for a lot of different games. Now for GTA 6, it's a bit different because there's a lot of different graphics that they take advantage of when it comes to its like physics and everything, its own physics and its own graphical engine. If it could get like 60 frames, just assuming on like the original PS5, I would assume then maybe more than likely the minimum is going to be something like probably like a 6600. 2070 might be like cutting it close, but might be still playable. I wouldn't worry about, of course, maxing out the graphics, but more than likely you might be able to get away with it. You might not be getting as smooth frames if that's what you're looking for. Awesome. There's been a massive jump just in a few years between 2000 series, and absolutely there's been quite the jump between those GPUs for sure. And I do gotta say, it's been quite interesting, especially how they switched over from the PCI-E connectors over to the 12-volt high-power ports. And then more than likely, it's we're gonna see a lot of differences when it comes to the newer generation, when it's the case when it comes out with the new reiteration of the Supers. But I've got a list of let us know, Jaden. Let us know what your list is looking like. I'm curious. GPUs with 4 gigabytes of gigs of VRAM are useless. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you might. What's up, Amir? Good to see you. Yeah, it's pretty useless. Even a lot of people are already complaining about the 8 gigabytes, and believe me, Nvidia hears your concerns. Nvidia hears it. AMD knows it exists, the concerns. So I think from here on, from 2025, I can say, within the next year, once we hit 2026, you're going to see less 8 gigabyte cards. More the standard's going to be more towards like 10 to 12 gigabytes more than anything. So they'll push the minimum quite a bit up, but it's not going to be a crazy jump up. The thing is, my current setup, which I built for a few years ago, it's the same RTX 2070 Super and i7 4790K. So not sure if I'm able to still play. I hate to break it to you, but if that's the case, if you're playing on a 4790K, more than likely it's probably not going to play very well on a GTA 6, because you're going to face that bottleneck right there from the processor itself. I would highly recommend going to a different board. I would imagine probably the minimum specification is going to be towards like Intel's maybe 8000 series if you're trying to go for the lower margin side. But I highly recommend building a newer generation. That way you save a lot more money on that side. So for the GPU that you're using is Gigabyte's Radeon RX 9070 XT Gaming OC 16 gig. So for that GPU, I think it's an excellent GPU. Usually Gigabyte builds really high quality GPUs, and when it comes to its coil whine and everything, more than likely it's probably going to be non-existent. Every Gigabyte GPU that I've seen and ever messed with, most of them don't really have coil whine, and if they do, they tend to go away over time, and their coil whine is not going to be anywhere near as loud as some other manufacturers that you choose to get GPUs from. Just like I know, for example, if you got a GPU from ASUS, some of their GPUs can be a little bit louder than others. Same thing when it comes to, say, maybe MSI, but when it comes to Gigabyte, they're the brand to go with the least noise, I would say. So what would be the best processor to pair with the RTX 2070 Super without major? So like I said, go either Intel 8000 series or go even Ryzen, AMD's Ryzen. You could go with the 5600X, even something like that, even because a lot of their processors and their motherboards are also on sale. Is there i3 out? There is an i3, but I wouldn't suggest going i3 if you choose to go i3. You mean for this year, for Intel's 15th generation? No, they don't. They got rid of i3. Instead, they pushed the processors up to i5, i7, and i9 if you choose to go Intel. If anything, I would say if you do choose to switch up processors, I would highly recommend going to AMD side if you do. And if you are going to be using it like for video editing and everything, I get to understand your reasoning for it. But just go i5 instead of i3. That's all. So I was really worried about coil whine. This is really, yeah, you don't have to worry about coil whine when it comes to Gigabyte. Yeah, no problem. So you think my AMD Ryzen 7 7800X 3D will be enough to push my build, or should I go up to the 9 Series I? So what I would recommend is the 7800X 3D would do really well for your build. Now, I would recommend if you were to, because you are into other sides besides gaming, and that you're into doing things like producing and doing things like video and everything, then I would say then it's good to go something like Intel. Bro, the ASRock drama is annoying. They got the cheapest board by a margin in my country. It's funny because they're doing their best right now. You'll notice like almost every ASRock motherboard out there is on sale because they're trying to get out of that hump. Because honestly, I think they were honestly a great brand. They could have done way better, especially because their board designs were excellent for the most part. The board designs for them, especially their new creator builds, when it comes to their motherboards, they have like all USB-C, which is very, it's future-proof practically. But their decisions to do what they did, especially on what they decided on saying, what they did for the public relations side on the reason why the processors were burning out, especially the 9800X 3Ds, was a very poor decision on their side because it's just not going to look good for ASRock. But eventually they did admit to it, and now the BIOS updates are out there. Some people are still experiencing, I guess, some issues with ASRock, but luckily their processors haven't been burning out. So if you don't even have more than the RTX 3050, so the AMD 9 RTX 3080 is good, absolutely. Make sure there's a plastic cover for a dust-free CPU. Yeah, exactly. And make sure you don't use a toothbrush to clean out your socket, because that's completely not necessary. If you use a toothbrush to clean out a socket, it's a bad idea. It should never be touched, I have to say. Just to put out there, so don't even attempt to clean it. It's completely not necessary. Bro, they look amazing. The Mini, absolutely, I agree with you, Alex. They do look great. And it supports SP1. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like ASRock really dropped the ball hard on it. Just when I was thinking of doing a build with ASRock, something like this happened. I still do want to do a build later with an ASRock board just to see how well it performs. And I would love to test it out to see how it compares to other motherboards. So things start spawning if you have, exactly. The thing is, it's anytime you do a PC build, there's always going to be some sort of weird issue you might run into, but that's perfectly normal. Typically, it's always a small issue that has to be ironed out. Sometimes it can be something small, like you might forget to plug in, say, the power delivery system, and you wonder why it's not working. As, for example, the power delivery system and a lot of newer PC builds, they use another PCIe under the ATX connectors. If you look under there, there's actually a PCI Express connection, and that will be for power delivery. So that's a good example of ironing out like some of the kinks of what could happen on a newer build. Software wise, it can happen. BIOS firmware wise, it can happen. So anything you wish you knew on your first PC build that can help you. Now, I do have good news for you, Jaden. Now, the first thing I have to say is when it comes to new PC builds, especially when you're first doing it, it's definitely improved over time. It's nowhere near what it used to be, like as in difficulty to doing a PC build. Now, the only thing I would highly suggest is just take your time when you're doing it. There is no rush, and it's very actually therapeutic to do a PC build. When you do it, you're only going to build your PC once. So just remember that. You're just building it once, and you're not going to have to rebuild it again, or unless you plan on doing the build in the future. But I can say when you do your first PC build, just really take your time, make sure everything is connected properly, and nothing will go wrong, really. It's a pretty much straightforward process compared to what it used to be. Before, you would have to worry about things like grounding screws to make sure that they're properly connected. But yeah, with doing a new PC build, a lot of that's like practically put together for the most part when it comes to PC building anymore. So I can tell you, it won't be as hard as you think it is, but certainly take your time to do it. And some pins burning is not small, sadly. Need a good processor, that's it. It doesn't matter if you have a high GPU, your CPU, exactly. So the most important thing is, like, when it comes to what's more important is if you want to have either a GPU bottleneck or if you want to have a CPU bottleneck, you always prefer a GPU bottleneck over a CPU bottleneck, just to bring that out there. So it's always actually better to have a stronger GPU than the actual CPU, because then the CPU bottleneck could be a lot worse in performance wise. So let's see, when should we replace the thermal paste? Now, the thermal paste in the GPU, usually I don't highly suggest changing out the thermal paste in the GPU unless you really have to change it out. Like if you notice the temperatures are spiking really bad, I mean, like you're noticing a difference of like 15 to 20 degrees of a difference, then I would say change it out. But if that's not the case, I wouldn't worry about changing out the thermal paste as much. On a GPU, it could be done. If you want to get better temperatures, it can absolutely be done. But that's another process. I would recommend taking your time doing so. So best tip is get a good case. Absolutely, there's a lot of great cases out there. Even Monitex's cases, the one where we just did this AMD 9070 XT build was excellent, and for the most part, it was only $85 USD for it, and it had all the necessary fans practically in it, and plus it already had a lot of the grounding screws already connected. You don't have to manually put in any grounding screws anymore. And when I'm talking about the grounding screws, I'm talking about for the motherboard, the standoffs, because before you would have to manually put them in. You would just have to match up, for example, the alphabet it would say. So for example, if you have an ATX board, it might be fall under the letter A. So you have to look on the case, and you would have to match A across the board. But now a lot of these cases, they're already they already have it set up for ATX for the most part. So if you do choose to get a different board, like an MATX board, just make sure you have the extra grounding screws necessary for it. So don't even need such thing. Doesn't matter. Bottleneck rises with GPU and CPU similarities. So yeah, so for the most part, I gotta say, when it comes to a PC build, it's mostly straightforward now. Especially you have NVMe's, which makes it a whole lot easier. You have the RAM's pretty much really simple. I always recommend putting in the GPU last, because again, it's a really large piece. You don't want to put your GPU on outside of the case, because that would be a real pain for you, especially when you install the motherboard for the most part. So if you are building your PC, I would say build most of your motherboard first. Just don't put the GPU in. Once you build most of your motherboard, then you can install it into your PC case, and then you should be pretty much good to go. If you have an air cooler for your CPU, then the air cooler, you can install it before putting it into the case. If you have a liquid cooler, you're going to want to put the brackets in for the liquid cooling before you put it into the actual case. So my case is the Lee. Oh, that's actually a wonderful case to get for your PC. So if you choose to get since you chose the Lee 011, again, one of the best PC cases out there, and for good reason. And that's definitely a case I would recommend for anybody who is thinking about doing a PC build. You'll actually fall in love with that case because of the flexibility you have when working with it. So, oh, it's the compact. I just read the compact part. Yeah, let me know how that goes, Kami. I'm very curious to see how that comes together. When you have your case together, let me know. Send pictures through Discord. Would love to definitely share it. All right, let's go up here, see what we can find. Man, you know, the crazy part is I personally only went Ryzen platform since it came out. I would recommend the same today. Awesome long-term times platform support, many users, fruitful second-hand markets for a long time. That's a beautiful thing, I gotta say. AM5 is a awesome platform to be on, and it's going to be around for a good long time. You see how long AM4's platform has lasted, and it's still lasting until today, which is the insane part. What's up, Takuma? Good to see you, especially the AM4. Yes, it's funny that you said that too. But I do have to say, you can't go wrong with it when it comes to AMD. AMD is certainly something to take fully advantage of if you choose to go to that platform. Even their GPUs are great to go with as well. If you are thinking of switching, say, to Nvidia to AMD, nothing wrong with it. As I mentioned, and as everyone knows who already is part of the stream and is part of the fandom, they all understand that the 9070 XT, I have to give it the best GPU that for this year of 2025, especially when it comes to gaming, because the value's there and the power's there for a lot of gamers. So I apologize for any of the noise if it's a bit noisy. I forgot to bring my mic with me. Again, I'm usually not on the go. And it's funny, I left it in my other bag as my wife, she told me to put on a lighter bag. So I kind of rushed and put everything into this lighter bag, and then I forgot my mic. My strategy will be to sell my old 7900 and buy the new second-hand 9950 in 5 years or so. That's a very interesting strategy, because I gotta say, you probably could get it for a decent deal now if you were to do that. Oh, the 79. Are you talking about your 7900 XTX or the 7900 XT? Or are you talking about the processor, the 7900, just without the X? I bought everything for my PC on Prime deals. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that, because the Prime deals, I gotta say, were really excellent. They were something to take advantage of. In fact, I know Takuma, he was thinking of doing some purchases himself, and I really wanted to make some, but the thing is, I don't want to have packaged shit outside my home like for over a month, especially in a place like in South Florida, where there could be a hurricane, you know. So I'm talking price speculation, 5 years, 7,900 for 300 euros, and 9950X is like 670 euros. I see. Because I was going to say that's a bit interesting, the whole process in that. But, ooh, I think I gotta go grab some water. So might get 9950X for 350. That's honestly not bad at all. If you could pick one up for 350, that's a great deal, honestly. And you know, I'm really excited for when Ryzen comes out with this 10,000 series. So if you have a AM5 board, and if you're just tuning in or you're not too familiar with your board yet, I do have to say, if you have an AM5 board, it's also going to be compatible with the 10,000 series when AMD does come out with that Ryzen version of it. So that's the good news. If you know about the 9950X3D, they use some of the best silicone chips out there. If you look at the rating for them, you can actually see it in the BIOS when you check it out. And when you check out the BIOS, it'll tell you the rating of that silicone processor. And a lot of the 9950X3D is rated really high. So just imagine what the 10,000 series is going to be capable of. Now, there was some rumors about it, about saying that, I know one of the companies that spoke on behalf about the 10,000's Ryzen chipset, they were saying that it's not going to be that large of an improvement over the prior generation. In fact, that it's only, you could expect a boost of about up to, I think they said, between 10 to 15%, but there is going to be a boost in CCDs, so that's going to be quite the difference maker too when it comes to these processors for the most part. So, but again, we won't know until they actually release it. Once they release it, then we'll know how it's going to be. So, but I love the secondhand market. So I'm building a new platform from scratch because I'm building my first mini ITX PC. Yes, and that is true. When it comes to ITX builds, they take very specific parts of it. So I can say it can be picky depending on the type of case you get for the ITX, especially if you're choosing to go something really small. I usually like the, as everyone knows, I really like how the fractal design cases look. I know they got some other cases as well that are really neat, especially when it comes to like being compact and even for portability, which is really nice. Because just imagine just taking it, all you need is like a portable monitor to go, and you have a mini ITX, you're going someplace, and you can just plug that right in and you're pretty much good to go, which is awesome when it comes to PC gaming wise. Even though when I used the ASRock Ally, I was impressed. Like being able to play games like Elden Ring on the go to my flight all the way from the US here to Taiwan certainly made it way easier to deal with, I gotta say. So I'm really excited to see what the Z2 Extreme has to feature when it comes to ASUS's ROG Ally. If everybody knows out there, MSI has already chose to change out their processors that they use for the claw, for their MSI claw, and they're not going to go with Intel anymore. As you guys know, before that they would use something like it was Meteor Lake for the prior generation, and it was like $900 for their handheld. So the good thing is MSI decided to change it to the Zen 2 Extreme, not Zen 2, but the Z2 Extreme. And as you know, ASUS's ROG Ally, the Xbox Ally X, will also use the Z2 Extreme as well. So let me see. Also, the most insane thing that happens is that I would predict it a wholesaler, new 380 for like 350 euros, considering that the new 3080 for 350 euros, considering that the 5070 is 550 euros, is actually making it the best. Then that's something to take advantage of for sure. Because anytime you how does that happen? Old stock liquidation? So if you're curious about what they do with the old stock, they try to sell it as new. They try to sell the old stock as new. Like it's called like old stock new. And if they can't get rid of it, what they typically do is they just send it back and kind of like start the process over with them. So they do try to get rid of these old processors. Otherwise, they become into like practically like e-waste if the stores don't really get rid of them. But what they'll do, again, they'll try to send it out to third parties. They'll put it in different areas, like they'll put it in places like eBay and sorts like that. I agree, Takuma. So for 350 euros for a RTX 3080 is a great price for it, to be honest. If you can get your hands on it, I would take advantage of it, for sure. Yeah, it's amazing, right? Remember when people were overpaying for it? I remember when people were overpaying for like the 30 series because there was such a shortage of it. It was just like how the 50 series was. But honestly, again, I can attest to this, and I'm sure everyone else does too, is when it came to the 30 series, it certainly seemed like it was rough back then. But the 50 series made that 30 series look like nothing compared to what it was now. Yeah, it's crazy, right? All in the love of PC building, I have to say. And take a look at this. And right here, there goes Taipei 101. Yeah, that was the thing. It was like you had to overpay for like a decent GPU if you wanted to get one. The GPUs are worth because of tech, not because of production cost. And you know the crazy thing is, they already said the 2nm production value is going to go up. It's going to cost even more. So I think they said for the newer nodes, it's going to be up by like I think they said 10% it was. Imagine no patents. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Whew. First, I gotta say, though, I am excited to see what's going to happen for later this year. Also, for those who do have like the Z890 boards, those who are still on the Intel boards or decided to go to that build with the LGA 1856, for those who did choose to go that build, they are going to make they are doing a refresh. So there is good news for those out there who have those boards. Some people feel like there's no point of having a refresh when it comes to it, but then it won't be fair for those who that really has that board, because that would mean you only have one generation to deal with, or 1 year to deal with. Intel's generation, I should say, because they seem to be very short-lived. They certainly do. They capitalize in capitalism. 5070 refresh for 450 euros. Well, the 5070 refresh, what it would be is it's going to be the 5070 Super, practically. So what they plan to do is when they do release these supers, when they do come out, when it comes to the RTX 5070 Super or the RTX 5070 Ti Super and the 5080 Super, the plan is they'll stop producing the original 5070 and stop producing the original 5070 Ti. Same thing with the 5080. They're going to stop making them so that way they can really focus more on their supers. So what they're just going to do is they're going to throw more VRAM in it. But the good news is, if that's the case, if they throw more VRAM in it, then that means it's just going to be a lot cheaper to be able to get your hands on a 5070 or 5070 Ti, because again, they're not going to make them as much, and most people aren't going to want to have less VRAM. They're going for the model that's going to have higher VRAM, if that's the case. See on the cost 600. Yeah. So not even lower, probably. I agree. The 5060 and the 5060 Ti is really technically like kind of like the 5050, really. Like when you look at it, even like the 50, if they had a 5040, it's even closer to that. Because if you notice, ever since from the 30 series, it kind of went backwards. Because the 30 series, the way everything was a 3060 was actually a 3060, a 3070 was a 3070. But once we hit the 40 series, it seemed like the 4080 was more like a 4070, And then the 50 series, when they came out with the 5080, it was like the 5070 and so on. So it's almost like I do have to bring this up too, which I find really interesting. And I just honestly think NVIDIA is going to constantly grow on this side. I know this is part of the capitalism side, but when it comes to the whole AI industry, NVIDIA has really outdone themselves in that side. They put so much focus on making great profits. They've done great. In fact, that they made up to $4 trillion within the last what was it, a couple days ago? They went up to $4 trillion in market cap, which is insane. But again, this really doesn't have to do as much with the PC space, because this has to do more with the whole AI space, because their focus on expanding on AI, you really see them keep growing, to be honest. So that's the very interesting side of NVIDIA. They are also planning to have their own SoC, and it's supposed to compete with the likes of like the M1, just say, or like the Snapdragon processors, as they are ARM processors. I don't know if they can win it. NVIDIA is so, I know. The thing is, like, NVIDIA is so advanced when it comes to their architecture, it's insane. But the problem is, hopefully they really have the mind to, I don't know if they're going to really have their same mind when it comes to like the whole PC side of things, but they're very, again, AI focused. AMD kind of wants to get to that position too. It seems like they want to be known as for AI as well. So there could be positives and negatives when it comes to it. It just depends on how both companies decide to utilize it. Now, if it comes to gaming, we don't want to see game developers start to rely on AI to help them create the games. So I think AMD is getting close. They have to stay pro gamers. I think they will, for the most part, and especially now they have more momentum. They have a good possibility of really bringing in more of a challenge when it comes to the GPU side. I know that they said, like, when it came to the 7900 XTX, that would be the last one that they would deal with when it came to creating high-end GPUs. So for them to stop then would be kind of foolish, especially because they've done so well when it came to sales. They actually sold 10% more than they thought when it came to GPUs. So they're widening their scissors profits in the market, which is so impressive. They are 9070 versus 5070. 5070 wins, and it's cheaper in my country. Oh, if that's the case, then I would go, just go 5070 if it's cheaper. So AMD lost for me this launch. Let's see it in a year. So I'd say there are some people that are mixed about AMD and have their doubts about it. But I feel that where it was hard for AMD to compete is the fact that people still feel that the pricing is a bit high for AMD. And because of that, they feel that it's not going to be fairly priced for those who are trying to purchase a GPU. But if you really compare it and you look between AMD and Nvidia, I gotta say between the both of them, AMD and Nvidia, AMD certainly has the better value, as Nvidia is almost triple times more expensive in a lot of other countries. So again, it all depends on where you are and where you're located. And again, AMD's 9070 was actually really impressive testing-wise. The 5070 was good, but again, NVIDIA boasted that it was going to have the power of an RTX 4090, but as when we tested it, it was nowhere near close to the power of RTX 4090, and that's even with the DLSS 4 enabled. But again, that's to each their own, and it all depends on what their uses are for when it comes to their GPUs. Now, if you're going to be using it for something like for content creation, then it's certainly going to be an advantage of, especially because of their use of CUDA cores. And that's going to be very useful in programs such as DaVinci Resolve and it's also going to be useful in other areas. Even like in Adobe software it would be good. But again, Adobe uses more of a CPU process handle, so it's going to, a lot of that is geared towards Intel, believe it or not, but AMD also works really well when it comes to Adobe products as well. And but yeah, I'm really curious to see what NVIDIA will certainly bring in the future. I could certainly see them going to up their, especially in the LSS 4.5, which more than likely we'll see when the Super Series comes out. Then more than likely we're going to see that it's going to be maybe instead of just 3 frames per 3 frames per one, it might be like 5 frames per one or something like that. And it's going to continue pushing up further and further in that case. But yeah, in the case of the 9070 non-XT, the 50, yes, if you were to compare the non-XT version, the 5070 is a much better buy, I have to say. Because if those are the only two that you have, then obviously the advantage is going to be in the 5070. You're going to have way more VRAM compared to 8 gigabytes. You have 4 gigabytes extra, and again, you have CUDA cores that you can take advantage of if you had to compare between the two. But for the most part, I gotta say, I just honestly hope what NVIDIA will do when it comes to their new Supers is the fact that they decide to keep the same pricing for the most part. If they decide to come out, like say with the 5080 Super, I would love for it to see it at the same MSRP at say 1,000 USD for it, and then you get an incredible amount of VRAM, which is at 24 gigabytes, which is honestly perfect for anybody out there who is going to be using it strictly just say for gaming or something. But more than likely, I can imagine that the pricing will probably hold the same way. If NVIDIA doesn't really push for higher pricing, I hope they don't elevate it somewhat. I really hope that they don't say, because it has 24 gigabytes of VRAM, we're going to charge, say, 1,200. Almost like what the original RTX 4080 was, when they tried to say, oh, we're going to charge an extra 200 for it. But, yeah, that's, yes, we are outdoors due to me being in Taiwan. So, yes, that is why we are outdoors, taking this nice stroll in beautiful Taipei. And right now we're right by Taipei 101. I haven't seen any of the any ASUS or MSI stores. If I do, I'll stop in and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Oh, because my family's here. I have my mom, everybody's here, family-wise. That is why I am in Taiwan. But let's take a look here. And also, the thing I gotta say I'm really proud about Taiwan too is the fact that a lot of the companies that we have a lot of respect for, companies like Gigabyte, ASUS, and MSI, they all come from here. Thank you. I will certainly enjoy it. Yeah, last year, the funny thing is, I went to 2 places. I was in Taiwan, and I also was in Japan last year. This year, I'm just going to stay in Taiwan. Maybe next year, I'll do something different. Would love to hear any requests if anybody would want to see any specific place, especially here in Taiwan. Let me know if there's any stores, or because I'm telling you, they have like the top PC stores here, I gotta say. True local prices, that's why benchmarks are great. Not just A is better than B. Absolutely. The crazy part is, even if you, here I can say, like, if you're to buy some You know what? We'll have to go there to check it out, because I know pricing has probably changed since then, so I can't speak on top of it right now. But well, I'll definitely take you like when I see it. I'm sure we're getting close, because again, we're right by Taipei 101 now, which is right here. Switch up the camera there for you guys. No, it's a bit of a cloudy day. It's not as sunny, but in a way it's good. It's not too sunny, because if it is, it's going to be really would be really hot for the phone. They probably shut off on me if I'm doing the whole stream right now. But most of all, it's not too bad of a day. I'm surprised it hasn't rained yet, to be honest, because the air it certainly feels like it's going to rain sometime soon. But yeah, we'll see. But let me switch back over here. Okay, there we go. Back in action. Yes, that's what I want to do. I'm trying to find one now. I didn't really look on my phone for the closest tech store, but usually they do have them. They'll just pop up. You might see like an ASUS standalone store, or you might see an MSI standalone store. But if I run into it, we'll definitely stop by in. There's a lot of, right now I'm just passing a lot of restaurants. It's funny, somebody just asked that same exact question that you did. Again, my family is all out here in Taiwan. It's funny that you say that. I've been in Taiwan more times than I can count. Taiwan's honestly a wonderful place. If anyone hasn't visited Taiwan, you certainly should. It's really a lot to do here. Definitely an underrated place to visit, for sure. But yeah, but you guys definitely got to check it out. Now, of course, Taipei is more the city side. There's other areas that I also love to visit too here in Taiwan. Personally, I really like more of the countryside of Taiwan, which is like towards like Hualien and Taidong are great areas to visit. But yeah, again, I'm really proud of Taiwan, because it is practically the capital of a lot of tech that is out in PC gaming. I will go. Yeah, you should definitely go. You would certainly love it. If nobody has visited before, check it out. Everything's very convenient here. If you have visited places like Japan or Korea, it's kind of like similar to that, I would say, in the most part. But again, like Taiwan has its own culture and everything too, as well. But especially for those who are into like PC tech, you would love it here, because I'm telling you, they got a lot to show for it. Especially like if you check out their stores, it's just like fully loaded of like fully blown out all PC tech stuff, which I really want to show you guys. But here, I just gotta make sure, I gotta wait for the lights to cross. It's not like out in the US, like where I could just like walk right across the street. Here, definitely have to make sure you cross when it's green. Otherwise, you're gonna get hit. But hopefully everyone's builds have been doing well. I saw Nvidia came out with a new driver. Obviously, I can't test it yet until once I get back home. And when I do, I will let you know how it goes. But by then, it's going to be already a month, and I'll probably have a whole nother one by then. So if anyone has updated to the new Nvidia driver, let me know what your thoughts of it are. I'm curious. Because I know Nvidia's driver recently hasn't been too bad. I think, and I do got to say, I think a lot of the issues that I've noticed, mostly from when it came to Nvidia's side, has been a lot of different faults to the Unreal Engine 5 too, as well. But we'll see, like, once they updated to this whole new one, let's say update to Unreal Engine 5.6 if it's going to be any difference. But for the most part, Nvidia has certainly improved driver-wise. I haven't seen really too many issues since, I'd say, about like early June was the last time I've seen issues. But then again, I could be wrong. I haven't experienced the new update, which is, I think it's on 576.91 if I'm not mistaken. But their new driver is going to be out. And for those who have Nvidia cards and are experiencing it, let me know what your thoughts of it so far. If you've have improved frames, or if it's any better, feel free to let me know. I'm pretty curious. But I gotta say, I tried to look up Nvidia's new foundry and everything too. Not foundry, but their new quarters that they're going to have here in Taiwan. And so far they haven't built it yet. They're just in talks of it. But yeah, take a look at all this delicious food, especially for those. 9070 for 600. 9070s. Yeah, you obviously got to go XT. Hit the 50. Really? It's only 550. They really messed up there if that's the case. Oh, there we go. I just want to show you guys this. All the different restaurants here. Passing by, mostly all restaurants. It's funny, like I'll pass by like so many PC tech stores, and just so I haven't passed by any yet. But I know there's going to be one close by. AMD for FSR4. It looks so, yes. You know what's crazy? I'm really excited for that too. I would love to see FSR4 more in action. It's a shame that there's not a lot of games that haven't quite supported it yet. But it would be nice if they did, for sure. And I know they did the whole update with Doom and path tracing. I wonder how that is. I remember I was having issues with Doom with Nvidia's card if I had the stats on. But I remember the more later update, the driver update, it ended up fixing that problem. And for anyone who has questions about PCI Express 5 and PCI Express 4, when it comes to the whole speeds, when it comes to NVMEs, make sure you check out that video, because from there you'll see how much it really matters when it comes to PCI Express 4 or PCI Express 5 SSD speeds when it comes to gaming. But it certainly, AMD has outdone themselves, and I certainly hope they keep the ball rolling. I hope they just don't decide to stop and say, hey, we do good enough on mid-range cards, and we'll just keep creating mid-range cards and keep it that way. But get a heatsink for your M.2, please. So underrated. You have to have, well, most motherboards should have a heatsink built with it. Especially if you're using PCI Express 5, you have to have a decent heatsink on there, because of course the higher the generation, the more heat it will dissipate out of the SSD. So certainly have it. So make sure that you have a heatsink, especially if you have it inside of like a PS5 or something, because I know the PS5s won't come with a heatsink. You're going to have either buy the SSD with a heatsink, or you're going to have to get aftermarket heatsink with the SSD to keep it cool. Otherwise, it's just going to burn up, and then you're going to lose your games off of it too. So I got one from Thermalrate. It's sexy and kind of low profile. Nice. Yeah, the thing is, they're usually not that expensive either. You could really get SSDs for like heat sinks. You can get them for like $5 or $10 USD. Euro-wise, I would imagine it's about probably the same value, I would say, for the most part. So I would definitely keep it for that price range. More than likely, it's going to be around there. And it does certainly make a difference, as a lot of heat sinks, they will also come with some decent thermal paste with it too. or not paste. That would be weird and messy. Actually thermal pads that they come with. So they'll come with thermal pads on there to keep your SSD nice and cool. And but I would highly suggest it. I always say, why 95 degrees when you can do 80 or lower? Yes, so if you can manage to get cooler temps, that is definitely the better option to go. If you can get cooler temps, that is what you want to go with, because it can certainly limit you. You can go into thermal throttling if it gets too hot. Now, again, if you get to the point where if you can get something cooler, hence why people do things like they do water cooling and things of that nature to get cooler temps, so that way they get better performance. It's generally more quiet if you choose to go that route. And AIOs are a great option for that, for those who want to look in cooling in that side. And they're also more maintenance free compared to those who are thinking of doing like some sort of water cooling system. It's amazing to do, but of course it does require a bit more care to do so. But so I highly suggest for anyone out there, and I do agree that it is important to definitely keep your SSD cool, as it will certainly help from thermal throttling. It prevents things such as freezing when you're in game, but it can prevent a lot of different issues when it comes to using your SSD in that sense. Even transferring files, it won't act so finicky where you're not getting a steady file transfer. But again, once it's cooled to the point, it will transfer at its quickest speeds compared to bottlenecking its speeds. If you may notice, if you ever transferred files. But I love what Linus says to XQC. You know what they say about bleeding edge water cooling, it cuts. Yes. And that's the thing. It's just like, it's so expensive to do, and it's very high maintenance. It really is a high maintenance system to do that, for sure, if you choose to go water cooling. Because you have to not only just make sure that the plumbing on it is good, because you have to make sure that you don't want it to leak into your system. Because once it does, that's everything. That's your whole components right there. It really is, which is would be quite terrible for anyone. So, for anyone who's just joining in, I'm Chris Mizo. Talk about PC and tech. Currently, I'm in Taipei, Taiwan, and right now I'm visiting family and everything while I'm here. So I'll be away for about a month. When I stream, it's going to be pretty much mobile for the most part. Of course, I don't have all my equipment with me. And unfortunately, I don't have my PCs I could bench and everything with me. But what we will do is we will certainly explore a lot of PC tech stores and everything while we're here, and which I am certainly looking for now. I see a lot of different food right now, but hopefully we find one sometime soon. And let me see, get back here. I ended up switching screens. There we go. But luckily the weather is pretty good for streaming for the most part, because it can get definitely really hot here, especially if it's the middle of July, and we're right in the middle of typhoon season. You know what? Let me check out this area here. We might be able to, maybe they have one right here, because it's like a little mall area this side. Let's see, I have a feeling we're close. So has anyone, out of curiosity, has anyone out there visited Taiwan? Out of curiosity. If you haven't, that's all good. At least you'll have a good idea of what it looks like out here. Let me see. Right here. I'm going to check this place here. I'll show you guys. This is like a mall area. So maybe they got one break here. Because right now we're right by like the mall side of Taipei. Yep. All right. There we go. Whew. Got him running across the streets. Show you how it looks from that view, but yeah, this side's pretty busy. Alright, let me check in here. Hopefully we find one. So let me know where you're watching from, and put it in the comments. I'm curious of what time you're watching. If you're from the US or you're from Europe, feel free to let me know. Alright, so we're gonna go up them steps up there, those yellow steps right here. And hopefully it's in that mall area, which we'll find out soon. Switch back here. But hopefully you guys are excited for the upcoming third quarter for 2025. I'm curious what Intel's going to do. They want to cancel 18A and go straight to 15A. But if that's the case, then you can expect Intel not to come out with anything for the 18A and just go straight to 15A within the next year. It almost seems like they want to, from what they said, they want to try to catch up to AMD, which is going to be very hard for them to do. And for them to just jump straight to 15A, that's like almost like a leap of faith right there. They gotta hope that they can. They gotta hope that they can make it, you know. But it's a bit tricky because if Intel messes this up again, I gotta say it's not going to look good for them. All right, let me go up here. Up the steps we go. I gotta love this whole Lego design here. We'll go take a look into the mall. There we go. Let's see what they have in here. Whew. Get a chance to pull off real quick. Let me see. All right, we're just about to enter in. Hopefully the connection will hold. Here we go. That feels nice and cool in here. Let's hope we find something. Oh, I am. Thanks, Leo. What's up, Adley? Good to see you. Yeah, currently I'm inside the mall area, and we might have a chance of finding the tech stores here. If not, I already know where we can go, but they're quite the distance from here. But I know they gotta have something here. Whew, but definitely needed to cool off. It's about like, was it about, I think 30 degrees Celsius wise? 30, about 30. Let's see. Going down here and you know what? You know where we're actually close by? I just realized where we're close. You know the Pokemon Center in Taiwan? It's actually right by here. So hopefully there'll be a tech store somewhere close to it. If there's a Pokemon Center, there should be one. Let's see. I'm gonna have to step outside again. We'll get close to one. Hopefully everyone's PC's builds have been going great. I've been really happy, stoked for everybody out there who has their PC builds together. And it's certainly quite the game changer, I bet. Like once you build a PC, it's really hard to go back into like something like console gaming. And especially because it's just so, you just have so much more flexibility when you're gaming on PC, and the limits are practically limitless when you have a PC. Let's see, go up this way. All right, here we go. Feel a little bit of a rain shower coming. You got the 5090 Matrix. That's awesome. How do you like it? Did you put it in or not yet? I'm curious to see how that goes. You saw that they came out with this special edition. ASUS came out with a special edition GPU. It's a RTX 5080. For some reason, I can't remember exactly what the special edition was, but it's something that I think they have up to 3 people that can win this card. It's a specially made card. And if you join the contest, I know it's on their website, you get to have a chance of winning it. So if anybody is interested in trying to get their hands on it, I know who could say no to a free RTX 5080, but go ahead, just try and take advantage of your chances of getting an RTX 50 series. Okay, let's see. This is more like going to be like the fashion district. All right, let me see here. Man, this is proving a bit difficult to chosen where I have went, but there's always hope, and there's a good possibility we'll run into one. All right, so this is like their outdoor mall area. So this is great for those who like to do things like shopping and things like that. And they should have it. I don't see why this area shouldn't. And I'll share my point of view, guys, so you guys can take a look. So we're currently like right here. Looks like they're doing a wedding or something. Let's go on here now. But yeah, there should be one here. we're just about to cross. Quite a bit of walking we got in. I wonder how many steps I've taken. Let's see. You know what's crazy too? The Switch 2. If you were to get it here, it's even more expensive. It's like about like 550 USD. I just saw it too, the ad for it. All right, so let's see. Let's hope we find it here. So right now, a lot of fashion stores. A really good place to actually go. It's all, I would have to take the MRT to get there. And let me show you what are we finding so far here. And what we have is Movie, Cora, some fashion stores like Coach. But where's the good stuff? Where's MSI and ASUS? That's what we gotta find next. Alright, maybe I'll be over on this side. Because they got everything, like, they got multiple floors. Like when it comes to these mall areas. I think this is up to, some of them have 3 or 4 floors. Now it's all the matter of finding the right spot to get to. Alright, so maybe it's up here. We're gonna look at the directory. We gotta take a look at this real quick, the food side. Take a look at this food directory. For anyone that's a fan of food, doesn't that look good? All right, I know we're not here for food. That's just gonna make me hungry looking at it, but let's go ahead and find this other directory. We need more of the, like a general directory. There you go, Nintendo Switch 2. There it is. Alright, so I feel like we're close. This seems right. Because we're seeing all the different ads for it. So they got something here. Maybe we check that out. I think this is more of an exhibition. This is going to be. Yeah, this is an exhibition. Oh yeah. Let's see. Whew. I think I walked at least a couple miles here. That's not going to be here.
These are mostly not what we're looking for. This road, and we'll see what we find here. There might be something.
Hopefully everyone's been doing well out there for the most part, and let me know how you guys are feeling about this whole excited for the 50 series Supers to be released. I'm hoping that they keep it the same price for the most part. What's up? What's up, X Pizza Pie? Good to see you. Right now, we're just waiting to cross the street. We're trying to find some. ASUS stores or some MSI. Right now, I'll show you from my point of view. Just gotta wait for this light and take a look over here. Hopefully, we'll find something. GPU, no. Unfortunately, no. I think that the GPUs are going to be practically like just as expensive here, believe it or not. Which is pretty wild, right? Let me see. Graphic. There's gotta be some. Alright. Xiaomi. It was nice and breezy here. Let's go. I have to turn on the fan for this phone. Let's go this way. Yeah, fortunately, GPUs, I gotta say, they're going to be on the high-end side. So it's funny, you would think you can get it for MSRP here, but fortunately not. All right, so you know what I'm gonna do? Be right back, guys. I'm gonna double check. See if I can find one close by here on my phone. Guys, I'm gonna have to charge my phone. Oh, it's beautiful here, I gotta say. So again, if nobody has visited Taiwan, they certainly should. It's a wonderful place to visit. But I gotta charge my phone, guys. So what we'll do is we'll take a break, and while my phone's finished charging here, and we'll head over to a ASUS or MSI store or Gigabyte store, and from there we should be pretty much good. So I'll go live once again a little bit later after my phone fully charges. Fortunately, my phone isn't handling the heat as well, even though I got a fan on it.
which is pretty funny. But we'll be right back, and I thank everyone who joined in on the first part of this stream. We just got to get into recharge mode. Unfortunately, it's not plugged into a power source at the time. So we'll be right back, guys.